I wanted to speak a little bit about threats, Freemason threats. Um, the first threat to my life I received was from my brother in Miami, and he did this in front of my children who were much younger at the time, coming up in my face saying he's going to kill me, traumatizing me and my children. Um, The second threat was from him again, uh, spitting in my face. Yes, because he's mentally ill, very disturbed mentally. I can't even say he's traumatized. His behavior is more just violent. He trauma bonded my mother to him, however. And then he raised his sons to indulge in pornography since they were like 7 years old, and my older daughter almost got into trouble for it in high school because she would take home um, a that storage device that you plug into the computer. I can't remember the name of it now. And at home, since my brother was feeding himself a daily diet of pornography, especially with fat, overweight women, that's his pornography, because I came across those sites when I was using the home computer. So my daughter brought the jump drive, that's what it's called, to school, and it shut down all the computers at our high school because of the viruses attached to it. This was hidden by my mother and sister and family, by the way, because at the end of the day, the goal is to scapegoat me and cover up the things they do to me and my children. That would be my siblings and my mother. In particular, my younger sister and my brother. Anyhow, it was a big to do, and my poor older daughter, uh, the school believed her that, she didn't do this, and this is not what her diet of mental stimulation is, in terms of pornography. Um, and so she was not expelled from the school, but they were going to expel her. Because, as I said, the viruses from her jump drive shut down the computers in the whole school. Anyhow, moving forward, um, his son tried to hit me, um, his older son. Um, was looking at me in provocative ways, and I had to confront him about that. The God knows what they were trying to do to my daughter. They were always breaking into her room. She even bolstered the door with suitcases and the base of the bed, and that didn't help. They would break into her room at all hours in the early morning. God knows what their intentions were, but I caught them a couple of times. And I asked them what they were doing in her room and why they were in there at 3 o'clock, for example, in the morning. My brother is a disgusting, reprobate, demon possessed, I could say, human being. And he, always spoke of different ways he wanted to kill my father. Now, he tried to kill my father in the 90s, 1990s, holding a shotgun at my father. That was the second incident. And the first incident was chasing my father down with a spear gun. My father tripped and fell and had a a scar on his shin bone because of that. Um, my brother is mentally deranged. He may have multiple personality disorder because he presents to the people he wants to impress as if he is impressive. But the uncanny thing about it is the people he tries to impress, they're just as sick. I came to realize they're just as sick and disgusting. So, on a mental health level, I can't expect better from them. Gullible to lies, all kinds of things, because at the end of the day, people believe what they want to believe, whether it's logical or not. They don't have the propensity to think it through and make a decision as to whether or not the information they're receiving is factual or made up. They really don't have all the information, but at the end of the day, um, that's no excuse. When my mother is gossiping to people about me, the women in her family, etc., um, they want to hear that gossip and they want to believe her because they lack the ability to say to her, why are you speaking about your daughter in that manner? Why? What what we protect our daughters. Why are you not protecting your daughter? Anyhow, moving forward, it's not my fault that people don't think um, about the information they receive. If they want to dislike me for just about any reason, it's always because they disliked me in the first place. And that includes all my cousins from Canada, my cousins in the US, my cousins in Jamaica. Um, it is what it is. It's no skin off my nose. None of them are putting food in my mouth or paying my bills or putting shelter over my head or buying me clothes. But, they're the first ones to believe that their opinion has some weight. Now, in reference to that widow woman, I'm going off on a little tangent here. Um, I asked her about some real estate situation because her brother's into real estate, about renting places in Orlando, Florida, and her sister, I guess, didn't know that the phone wasn't hung up yet, so she came across to the woman and was saying, "The money done, the money done." Like, that means, is the money finished? Her money is finished. And I said to her on the phone, no, the money isn't finished. That was some money that belonged to me. Anyhow, what I really should have said to her is if her father had given me any money to put down for me. This is how sick these people are, when they're uneducated and crawl off a train track and someone feels sorry for them and then they have to try and pretend that it didn't come from where they come from. Always remember where you come from. I have no shame in acknowledging where I come from, but please don't put it in any way, shape, or form that I come from where my mother came from. Period. Anyhow, I'm not trying to be superior, I'm just being factual. The next set of threats came to me from a woman that the Freemason sent to my father. Um, and she said to me, as if she was joking, but it's not a joke. People don't think these things. Being that I'm a mental health professional, her choice of words and the way she conveyed her message was not a joke. She said she was going to shoot me with my father's gun, and he had a 9mm Glock. And then she was going to shoot him and um, then tell the police that my father and I got into it and he shot me and then shot himself. That's what her little joke was. Anyhow, I told my father about it. Moving forward, um, the second threat came from. Now, I don't put it past my brother to have hired that one. Let's call her prostitute number one. And her name is Tiffany or Chantel. The other one is, her name is Shari. Yes. An aspiring singer. Um, or should we say an aspiring croaker? Anyhow, the she had the audacity to offer me my ancestors' legacy and my father's business if I would collude with her against my father. Can you believe that? And that was the thought in my head. I'm like, excuse me? If I didn't come up under her control, she said, all she had to do is make a phone call and I would be shot and killed. All right. The third one was from my brother who told me it's best to leave Jamaica for my safety shortly after he moved in to my father's house. During that time, I received a text message. Of course, it's probably from one of those fictitious numbers, or, numbers that are temporary. And in it, the person, I don't know who they are, and I just took a screenshot and I have the phone number there, but I wasn't going to call them back. How about that? With the number they sent the message from. And the crux of the message was that if they book me, which means if they run into me at some point, they're going to tear my face off. After they said a bunch of vulgar things, in the midst of all the vulgarity was that message. So I wrote a message back, by the way, and I said, get a dictionary, number one. And number two, why does my face bother you so much? It wasn't a threat like, oh, I'm gonna shoot you or I'm gonna kill you, or no, they specifically said they're gonna tear my face off. Okay, and in psychology and psychotherapy, everything is about the choice of words a person uses. So I told them that, they're so focused on my face. My face bothers them so much. Maybe their face looks like a cow's ass. And then in this video about threats, by the way, I'm gonna talk a bit about coping with threats. Well, I am a psychotherapist, so at some point, if the person threatening you is not in front of you and they're using a device, there is distance, of course, between you. So you have the ability to respond to the threat. Not in the same way. Like, I didn't say, Oh, if I bug you, I'm gonna tear your face, because that's not a naturally occurring thought in my brain. I don't think of ways that I'm going to harm somebody. That's not part of my repertoire of behavior nor my patterns of thought, because I'm actually a little more well adjusted than most people when it comes to reality checking and the whole 9 yards of being stable psychologically. So, I may uh, initially become upset, but I regain my composure fairly quickly, because when situations are placed in front of you that you're unfamiliar with, you will become naturally uh, you'll naturally go into survival mode, and you will be processing what is your best next step. My best next step is never, oh, I'm going to rip somebody's face off, or I'm going to chop somebody or shoot somebody, because that's not my natural, that's not in my DNA. However, when I was in Jamaica, because I was traveling around most of the time by myself, and I didn't realize that I was being stalked and tracked and XYZ by my brother, who the criminal, my brother, the criminal. Um, I did put the word out, uh, because Jamaica is a whole vineyard of gossip vines. So I did put the word out that I carried a sawed off shotgun under the driver's seat of the car. And the car I was driving at the time attracted a lot of attention. It was a Mercedes, and that's a big deal in Jamaica. It wasn't a big deal to my father and I, because he had owned several of them before, and so did his siblings. So it didn't scare us or frighten us that it was certainly wasn't a Rolls Royce. Anyhow, um, they I did put it out there that that way, with if anyone was thinking of trying something, since I drove on a very lonely road going home in the evenings and etc. I put that out there. Yes, it's if the gossip vine works, use it to protect yourself. Uh, anyhow, going forward, I circumvented a couple of my the fears they tried to throw my way, the intimidation tactics. I counteracted. For example, one of them was that I had the titles for my father's real estate properties, tremendous amount of land, and in a subprime neighborhood. So yeah, I put it out there that I told my brother that since they took the Mercedes from me, saying I stole it, the police took it. That the car is lined with the titles so that they deflect. That gave me some time to rest while they did their manhunt for the titles, after I decoyed them into believing I did not have the titles. I got to understand that the car was taken into the Mercedes dealership, where it was pulled down. All the interior paneling was pulled down in search of these titles. And this is how you handle and cope with threats and uh, bad men that want to threaten you in your own family, your own blood brother. Which it did make me wonder if we were really blood related. the way these people behave. My younger sister, my brother, my mother, and all the ton loads of disgusting relatives that associate with them. Going forward, that was the workers at my father's company. They wanted me to come out and have a meeting with them because they didn't know what was going on. You know, my brother does these things, zigzag things. That's what I call it, zigzag. You know, and playing one person against the other and all kinds of things. And beware when you eat food from my brother. He thinks he's some tremendous cook, but he's putting, you know, he learned a lot of voodoo in Haiti and studied a lot of obia. That was his college and criminal school, you know. He has those 3 degrees. So I would never eat from him. If anybody's thinking that's a great thing, watch out. Anyhow, um, he told me that they set gunmen to kill me if I enter the premises at the garage on Dunon Road, my father's garage where the trucks are housed. So I was unable to meet with the workers. And because of, you know, if he's saying there's a threat of me being shot when I go there, and God knows I wouldn't want to be in a US hospital, but I would 10 times over not want to be in a Jamaican hospital. Anyway, um, my brother also told me that my father hired a hitman to, or, you know, they call them gunmen in Jamaica, to kill me because there was a hit out on me. And I didn't know at the time that my brother was telling my father that I did that to him, that I had a hit out on my father. This type of psychology my brother uses, it's called gaslighting. And it's very well rehearsed and established behavior and thinking patterns with Freemasons. Excuse me. So there was also a time when my brother was controlling my father's phones that I couldn't communicate with my father unless I called my mother. And I mentioned it to my father. He was surprised. I said, Dad, I was told that you hired someone to kill me. And my father said, What? What? You know, and I couldn't really talk to him for long because my mother was standing right there. She's always like a foot away from my father. There can't be any interaction, you know. The last time I saw my dad was June 29th, 2023. Shortly after that, he died on August 12th. And my father was whispering to me, but I could not hear what he was saying because my brother was yelling in the background. That's another propagandist, spewing a lot of propaganda and preventing me and my father from having a conversation because his yelling and agitation and anger. And he had a wrench in his hand as if he would hit me if I responded to him. Anyhow, my father was asking me if I came for him, if I had come for him. In other words, if I came to take him from there, that's what he meant. And I I cried when I heard from the person, the sound, how do I say that? The sound artist, someone who had a sound studio. I asked him to amplify the words to tell me, please, what my father was trying to say to me, because his whispers were drowned out by my brother's yelling. And it was that my father was asking if I came to take him from there. So when he realized I wasn't taking him, he really cried. My father cried a lot after my brother moved into his house. He cried every day for almost 2 years. And my younger sister, who is an ARNP, my older sister, who's a dentist, and both married to doctors, they never even tried to give my father some type of antidepressant medication under the circumstance that he had dementia. Um, Anyhow, moving forward, these are the types of threats I faced in Jamaica, in addition to Freemason antics, such as trying to cause public displays of my defending myself, which was considered, oh, I'm being aggressive. It was really to paint me to be someone who was mentally disturbed, as if someone didn't provoke me in a way that warranted my reaction. Okay, just an FYI. These are Freemason antics that I am explaining, that I experienced, and they're documented now, documented verbally and in writing. Thank you very much for listening.